The head slap, the symphony of carnage. 1960. Long before the sanitized spectacle of primetime broadcasts and billion-dollar streaming deals, professional football was orchestrated violence. Defensive titans didn't seek mere victory. They demanded obliteration. Their most devastating weapon wasn't a scheme or formation. It was a singular, barbaric motion, the head slap. Picture yourself opposite a 280-pound monument to destruction, like Deacon Jones. The snap echoes. Before your stance solidifies, an enormous open hand detonates against your helmet's temple with the kinetic fury of collision physics. Reality fractures. Balance evaporates. The architecture of devastation. Deacon Jones wielded the head slap not as mere blocking counter. He deployed it as neurological warfare. He termed it administering a headache, though the truth resembled sanctioned assault at the line of scrimmage. This calculated percussion targeted the vestibular system, rendering offensive linemen disoriented. Spectators, while Jones demolished the pocket. Violence masquerading as fundamental technique. Weaponized impact to the cranium. Jones confessed the objective without apology: eliminate a man's will before the play materialized. The proliferation. By the mid-1970s, the carnage in the trenches demanded institutional response. Younger defenders mimicked Jones religiously, transforming each snap into accumulation of concussions and ruptured eardrums. The head slap had achieved such dominance, it fractured competitive equilibrium. Violence wasn't collateral damage, it was the attraction, the intervention. In 1977, the NFL intervened decisively. They didn't merely penalize the technique, they outlawed it entirely. It became illegal hands to the face, a 15-yard monument to prohibition. The epic of open palm assault concluded. The head slap perished so modern players' cognition could endure. Stickum, the chemical conspiracy, the adhesive revolution, 1980. In football's high-stakes arena, possession represents singular supremacy, but throughout the late 70s, securing catches transcended talent or natural ability. It required chemical enhancement. Introducing Stickum, an industrial-strength adhesive so formidable it transformed epidermis into biological flypaper. This wasn't supplemental grip assistance, it was fundamental sabotage of athletic physics. The Sultan of Sludge. Lester Hayes, the Raiders' legendary cornerback, didn't simply apply Stickum. He bathed in it obsessively. He appeared perpetually submerged in viscous amber, coating palms, forearms, towels, even footwear in translucent residue. He didn't intercept passes, he confiscated them. In 1980, Hayes accumulated 13 interceptions, a monument of turnovers engineered through substance permitting him to cradle footballs effortlessly. The proliferation. The league deteriorated into legitimate farce. Photographs surfaced of receivers like Fred Biletnikoff, with limbs so saturated they resembled swamp extraction. Opposing squads protested furiously, returning footballs to officials caked in adhesive contamination and industrial filth. Competition had devolved from athletic demonstration to chemical warfare. The unrestricted application made catching and defending predetermined outcomes. The intervention. In 1981, they prohibited any foreign sticky substances categorically. The Lester Hayes rule emerged, stripping chemical advantages and forcing regression to unenhanced human capability. The adhesive vanished, but obsession with control intensified exponentially. Celebration props, the brand protection protocol, the theatrical insurrection. 2003, for generations, the end zone existed as emotional sanctuary, a domain of unfiltered expression. But by the early 2000s, it metamorphosed into performance absurdity. The NFL, a billion-dollar apparatus constructed on uniformity, faced unprecedented rebellion, the hidden prop. Players rejected simple celebration. They demanded broadcast. Hijacking, transforming scoring into cinematic performance. The breaking point, December 14, 2003. Joe Horn of the New Orleans Saints scores, sprints to goalpost padding, and extracts a concealed flip phone. He initiates a call. He converses before millions. This wasn't celebration. It was security breach of meticulously curated branding. Previously, Terrell Owens had desecrated the Dallas Cowboys' sacred midfield stun and extracted a Sharpie from his sock to autograph the football. The end zone became legitimate theater for ego, and league executives approached meltdown. The proliferation. This represented fundamental challenge to institutional authority. Every Sunday threatened novel gimmickry, pom-poms, cellular devices, markers, choreographed routines. The NFL determined that controlling creativity required elimination. The intervention. The crackdown manifested swiftly and mercilessly. The league mandated total prohibition on foreign objects or premeditated group demonstrations. Deploying props generated not merely penalties, but five-figure financial devastation. Corporate identity superseded individual identity. The end zone became reclaimed corporate territory. The aftermath. While regulations have marginally relaxed permitting choreographed dancing, prop prohibition remains permanent institutional scarring. The NFL selected pristine branding over individuality, ensuring no player would ever eclipse the institution itself. The horse collar, the anatomy trap, the skeletal rupture. 2004. Football constitutes pursuit, but in the early 2000s, that pursuit began concluding in catastrophic injury even hardened observers couldn't stomach. The horse collar tackle, a defender trailing a runner, would extend, hook the shoulder pad's interior back, and violently yank backward. This wasn't tackling, it was biomechanical failure. The mechanics of destruction. The physics proved unforgiving and devastating. As the runner's torso jerked violently backward, their lower extremities continued forward momentum at maximum velocity. This created biological trap for the legs. Knees buckled, ankles twisted beneath weight and momentum, and shredding ligaments reverberated through stadiums. Human parachute deployment that didn't preserve careers, it obliterated seasons. The casualty list. The 2004 devastation reached critical mass. Dallas Cowboys safety, Roy Williams, had perfected the technique into lethal trademark, but the cost became prohibitive. Most notably, Terrell Owens was yanked down by collar, resulting in fractured fibula and torn ligaments. The injury wasn't merely setback, it was horror spectacle broadcast nationally. The intervention. In 2005, the league issued 15-yard mandate, effectively criminalizing the technique. They branded it non-football conduct. The horse collar prohibition marked pivotal transformation in football's genetic code, the inaugural major regulation where the NFL prioritized orthopedic preservation over defensive aggression. It triggered a decade of safety-first legislation, permanently altering how defenders can interact with human anatomy. The wedge block, the demolition formation, the collision architecture. 2009. Kickoff returns once represented the gridiron's lawless frontier, high-velocity, high-stakes confrontation. But by the late 2000s, they had evolved into legitimate demolition competition. The strategy proved simple and terrifying. The wedge block. 3 or 4 300-pound linemen would interlock shoulder to shoulder, forming human battering ram, sprinting ahead of the returner. This wasn't strategy. It was biological wall of mass and bone engineered to pulverize obstacles. The kickoff carnage. The wedge physics proved ominous and lethal. Imagine coverage team members sprinting 40 yards at maximum speed, colliding with 1,000 pounds of coordinated force. Helmets fragmented, spines compressed, and necks snapped backward with automotive collision violence. The NFL's internal SWATs. Research revealed devastating reality. More concussions and catastrophic injuries occurred on kickoffs than any other play type. The sight of players motionless on turf became weekly occurrence. The intervention. In 2009, the NFL delivered death sentence to the wedge. They decreed no more than 2 players could stand shoulder to shoulder on kickoff returns. Unprecedented intervention into gameplay mechanics. Calculated move to dismantle the demolition formation before claiming another career. Today, the wedge remains relic of more brutal epoch. Custom cleats, the footwear inquisition, the style surveillance. 2010. In modern NFL, your jersey logo represents sacred contract, and your footwear colors constitute security matter. The league doesn't merely regulate performance, it regulates appearance with military inspection precision. For decades, players' cleats required being uniform extension, base colors exclusively, no gradients, no personal expression. To the NFL off-brand logo or vibrant colors weren't fashion choices. They were fundamental assault on billion-dollar advertising partnerships. The fashion outlaws. Players like Chad Johnson and Marshawn Lynch became primary antagonists in dress code warfare. Johnson received $20,000 fine, the highest uniform violation at that time, simply for wearing gold cleats in a Steelers matchup. Lynch faced even darker ultimatum. When he appeared in all gold cleats, officials gave him literal choice between footwear and employment. Change them at halftime or forfeit playing. Footwear investigation with referees functioning as fashion enforcement. The ego escalation. The conflict reached theatrical peak with Odell Beckham Jr. In 2019, he took the field in custom Joker cleats, vibrant, glittery explosion of purple and red mocking league's strict aesthetics. The NFL didn't await post-game reports. They transmitted mid-game notice. Change footwear or you're finished. Unrestricted league power displayed, willing to bench superstars over paint jobs while millions observed. The intervention. In 2016, the league finally conceded. They introduced My Cause, My Cleats, a controlled, one-week window where players are permitted individuality. Calculated move to sanitize rebellion, transforming raw expression into marketed charity event. Today, you can wear art, but only when scheduling permits. Outside those weeks, the uniform tyranny remains absolute. The Fumble Rusky, the outlawed deception, the covert heist, 1984. In the calculated, strategic NFL universe, no room exists for playground deception. But once, a play existed transforming the gridiron into theater of absurdity. The Fumble Rusky, a maneuver designed not to overpower defense, but to make them disappear. The quarterback would receive the snap and, with pickpocket stealth, position the ball on turf. A staged accident. While defense swarmed a phantom, a massive offensive guard would recover the abandoned ball and charge opposite. Direction. The deception mechanics. This wasn't merely trickery, it was fundamental sabotage of game logic. In the 1984 Orange Bowl, Nebraska executed this mechanical fraud with lethal precision. While the world watched the wrong man, the ball was being harvested for touchdown. Human battering ram disguised as error, a loophole proving skill was secondary to well-timed deception. The intervention. The league decreed any planned fumble was dead ball. If the ball contacted turf by design, the whistle blew. The illegal genius epic concluded. The Fumble Ruski prohibition marked the creative insurrection's death, ensuring every play followed linear, predictable trajectory. Uniform tyranny, the identity lockdown, the persona policing, 1985. The NFL is machinery demanding total conformity. To the Shield, a player isn't a man. He's marketed commodity. In the mid-'80s, the uniform tyranny reached critical mass, transforming the locker room into identity battleground. It commenced with Jim McMahon and his rebel headbands, fundamental defiance to the commissioner's office. McMahon didn't merely wear gear, he wore messages, transforming his forehead into billboard of resistance. The typography violation. The league's control obsession descended into absurdity. When Chad Johnson attempted wearing Ocho Cinco on his jersey, the NFL responded with military tribunal precision. They cited font violations and issued five-figure financial devastation. Typography investigation, where letter shape was treated with identical gravity as on-field casualties. The numerical imprisonment. For decades, the NFL maintained ominous jersey number code, hierarchy stripping players of collegiate identities, wide receivers buried in the 80s, linebackers trapped in the 50s, visual lockdown of corporate image. The intervention. In 2021, they relaxed regulations, allowing single digits to return defensively, calculated surrender trading rigid control for billion-dollar payday. They didn't grant players freedom. They sold it back to them. Today, your socks must achieve precise height and undershirt must be league approved. The rebel epic remains deceased. The one-bar mask, the skeletal relic, the steel fragility, 1955. For decades, the NFL player's face remained legitimate open target. Nothing captures early football's raw danger like the one-bar face mask. Thin metal strip resembling sinister smile more than safety equipment. It offered zero structural protection. Fundamental invitation for stray forearm to shatter jaw or finger to gouge eye. The ultimate badge of a man who didn't fear casualty accumulation. The smile mechanics. Designed for visibility, not survival. Punters and kickers loved it because it didn't obstruct view, but the trade-off was mechanical protection failure. You could fit a fist through the gap. It left teeth and nose exposed to defensive line's human battering rams. Ominous gamble played out on every snap. The intervention. In 2004, the NFL issued death sentence to the single bar. They prohibited the mask for all new players, but allowed few time travelers to be grandfathered in, leading to the human relic. Scott Player, the last man to wear the forbidden steel until 2009. He stood on the field as living ghost of more brutal, less regulated past. Today, helmets are high-tech fortresses of carbon fiber and foam. The one bar remains museum piece. Deflategate, the sphere seizure, the tool manipulation, 2014. In the NFL's cold universe, the ball is a literal play heart, but in the 2014 AFC Championship, that heart was under attack. Deflategate wasn't merely scandal, it was mechanical sabotage of core physics. The New England Patriots were accused of systematically draining air from footballs. Heist performed in stadium bathroom shadows. The squeeze mechanics. A slightly deflated ball is easier to palm, easier to grip in freezing rain, and more human-friendly for quarterbacks. Physical theft of game integrity. The investigation found underinflated ball accumulation. 11 of 12 failed testing. Patriots' reputation devastation had commenced. The intervention. The response was federal-level drama. Suspensions issued, lawsuits filed, league's moral hammer descended with theatrical cruelty. The NFL recognized allowing teams to handle their own balls created legitimate trust graveyard. They issued total lockdown. Every game ball would be seized asset, logged, and guarded by league officials like murder trial evidence. Today, unrestricted quarterback freedom to prep his own tools remains deceased. The lightning round, the gimmick graveyard, the swift execution. The NFL's creativity devastation never sleeps. In rulebook shadows, a dozen smaller prohibitions have transformed the locker room into fine minefield. Final snapshots of a league that refuses to blink. The grinning assassin. Odell Beckham Jr. attempted wearing an emoji mouthguard with protruding tongue. The NFL saw it as fundamental assault on pristine image and killed it instantly. To the Shield, a smile isn't humor. It's unapproved safety device modification. The scripted stare. For years, players like Tim Tebow used eye black as literal billboard for faith, family, or defiance. The league issued total visual blackout. No words, no numbers, no soul. Your face must remain blank canvas for corporate brand. The tactical cloak. James Jones made the hoodie under pads theatrical trademark. The NFL stripped hoods from players' backs, citing grab risks, but reality was fundamental need to maintain uniforms' structural purity. The hoodie was Rebel's cloak, and the league doesn't tolerate shadows. The flesh fine. Even the kneecap is battleground. The league demands pristine leg line, mandating pants cover the knee perpetually. If a player dares show fundamental inch of skin, they encounter five-figure devastation. Micromanagement, where a league so obsessed with control will fine a man for trouser length while he risks his life for their profit. The NFL is no longer primitive combat played by individuals. It is theatrical production managed by corporate cartel. Every prohibition, from head slap to towel size, is a brick in the no-fun league wall. The unrestricted chaos of the past has been replaced by pristine safety of the present. NFL history is legitimate graveyard of forbidden plays and banned gear. Reminder that in this game, the only thing that truly survives is the shield.